I'm going to call my shot as the next Nationals manager will be from left field. It's going to be Mark DeRosa.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And yes, I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me on Twitter at RyanClary11, as I am your Nationals insider here, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. And later on in today's program, we have got a manager discussion, just really what we want, and also a couple of names to really keep an eye on throughout this show. But we start off discussing the guy that I want in charge, and that is MLB Network analyst Mark DeRosa. I think Mark DeRosa would be a great hire, and I'll tell you why. But today's episode is, of course, brought to you by FanDuel. And right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So download the app today. So Mark DeRosa, the MLB Network analyst, would be my manager for the Washington Nationals. And quite frankly, I think this would be the best hire for this team. If you think about Mark DeRosa, I'm assuming everyone out there has seen him across MLB Network. He has been around the game, and he's been around the Washington Nationals quite some time. He played with the Nats back in 2012, in which was his second to final season before hopping to the Toronto Blue Jays. But I believe that what the Nationals need right now is someone fresh. I think another trait that someone really kind of needs to have to come in here and be a successful manager is someone who wants to win and someone who is hungry to get to its players. With Davey Martinez, the message got old. Let's go 1-0 today. When you hear go 1-0 today, every single day, when this team is losing 90 games a year, 85 games a year, 100 plus games a year, you are sitting to yourself kind of wondering, when are you going to go 1-0 today? And at what point will the players actually buy into this? In my mind, what a manager really needs here is someone to come in and build a new culture. A lot of people out there might say, why would you hire an analyst out there and say that this guy is going to be the best man for this job? I think back to Aaron Boone. When the Yankees hired Aaron Boone to take over the manager job, he was an analyst with Fox Sports, wasn't really around the game too much. He came into the Yankees clubhouse, and whether you like him or you hate him now, he changed their culture. He brought back the Yankees winning ways. And at that point, that team that he managed in 2017, they were considered to be going through a rebuild. That team finished second to the Houston Astros that year, which we all know what happened in 2017. Don't need to go any further. But he brought a new culture. He brought excitement. And most importantly, he brought everything, positivity. You could talk about development. You could talk about his own ways of being a Yankee and trying to navigate these young players like an Aaron Judge. I think Mark DeRosa, coming out of an analyst position, would be the best hire for the Washington Nationals. I think it would be a sexy hire, number one. And number two, I think he would help build a big culture here. And with where the Nationals need to go and with where they are today, the number one need as far as the managerial position goes is building a new culture. Having someone come into the building who is as young and as hungry as some of these guys in the clubhouse would be a game changer. That is not to say that Davey built a bad culture, but I think we all can say this. The message with him kind of got old over time. When you hear that same motto every single day and the bumpy roads lead to beautiful places, it kind of dries out eventually. And quite frankly, it probably dried out back in 2021 when the Nationals were losing and they blew it up and traded Max Scherzer. And then it most definitely kind of went dry there in 2022 when you trade away Juan Soto, when Steven Strasburg is not coming back. Like, that's out of David Martinez's control, but still, you need a player, especially young players, to buy in to what the manager is selling. And I think DeRosa, number one, would bring that new culture with him. This is just based off things that I have seen from MLB Network, watching it over the last decade plus. But Mark DeRosa is one of the nicest, kindest guys that you will ever come across. He shines bright on TV. He's easy to talk to. It feels as if I know Mark DeRosa just watching him through TV. Obviously a nice guy and someone that you want to be around. Checks that box. But number two, knows a ton about the game. Watching him do those MLB Network breakdowns of just player swings, and we saw CJ Abrams and James Wood in the MLB Network studios this past summer. And Mark DeRosa broke down their swings beautifully, gave them tips on what to do and what not to do. This is someone who knows the game better than, quite frankly, probably anybody on TV at this point. So if I'm the Nationals right now, and if I'm Paul Toboni, sitting in my office wondering, what am I going to do with this team? Where do we go from here? I think getting a new culture for someone who has not done this before is a must-have for this team. And taking the time to actually try to hit a home run with Mark DeRosa coming in the building, kind of opening up Pandora's box. It could be a treasure of gold, but also it could go the other way easily for this team. I'm not naive like that. But with what the Nationals have to have is a new culture. And I think someone who is young, someone who is hungry, someone who wants to prove themselves as a manager, that would be the best option for this team. Having someone come in here, knowing how to kind of mesh a clubhouse together, playing on some really good teams back in the day. Again, being on that 2010 San Francisco Giants team, being on that 2011 Giants team, the 2012 Nats, growing up with the Rangers and with the Braves early on in his career. Mark DeRosa has been in some big-time clubhouses with some big-time players. He knows how to mesh a clubhouse together. And having that as one of your best traits to be a manager in today's game, that is a huge thing for me. I've always kind of talked about this, and I think some people kind of hate it, but ultimately I think this part is true. Managers in the National League don't really have that much strategy to them anymore. Like, yes, you have to build a lineup. Yes, you have to make bullpen decisions. But really, those decisions should not be overcomplicated. If you have your spreadsheet, if you have your data, if you have your analytics, and if you have the game right in front of you, these decisions should be relatively easy. Picking your matchups and picking different situations, you're going to make mistakes. It's 162 games. But I think DeRosa would handle this perfectly. And for those people out there saying, well, I'm not going to hire an analyst for a team that just really needs coaching. They need a manager in there. They need someone to conduct the lineup each and every single day. I'm not buying that at this point. I think DeRosa would be just fine in that department. Was no struggle for Aaron Boone there. And even then, if you do hire a Mark DeRosa, you would likely have a former manager of some sort be your bench coach. You would have someone who has been laid off recently. Maybe it's a Bob Melvin who comes in. He's like, you know what? I just want to take the back seat here, be a bench coach, and then maybe next offseason I'll hop on to another job and help Mark DeRosa for the time being. That is something that is easily possible in my opinion. And if I am the Nationals today, if I am Paul Toboni making these decisions, I am giving Mark DeRosa a call today on the spot and giving him a job offer. This would be the sexy new hire that, quite frankly, the Nationals just need. They need a new culture. They need a new leader, and they need someone who is fresh and who is hungry and wants to learn and wants to get better with this team. Mark DeRosa would be my guy. I would love for the Nationals to take a big swing while you have the time. And if it doesn't work out in the next 2 years, guess what? You say, okay, that didn't work out. You move on. I think this is the best direction for the Washington Nationals. And if they decide we're going to go with someone who's experienced, then go for it. But I think this would be the job that Mark DeRosa would possibly want. And number two, that the Nationals would want him. So keep an eye out for Mark DeRosa. I would not be surprised at all to see him get a call by Paul Toboni. And maybe we'll see some smoke here soon surrounding Mark DeRosa. So keep your eye out for that. But until then, we also have a couple of other candidates. And a couple of these guys have won a World Series. They have been around the game. And also some of them have some ties to Washington, D.C. So we'll tell you all about that after this. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I built parlays, tried player props, and even followed the live lines during game, and it makes watching football even more exciting. When you've got a little something riding on the action, of course, maybe you have a Saquon Barkley touchdown for tomorrow night's Thursday night football game. I've got that going up against the Giants. I'm going to have a little bit more fun, but also maybe you're a casual fan. Maybe you see A.J. Brown scoring an anytime touchdown. Maybe Jackson Dart goes over 200 plus passing yards against the Eagles. You can make your Thursday and Sunday slate even better with FanDuel. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Again, visit FanDuel.com and download the FanDuel app today. And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we're free and available wherever you get your podcast. So we've got some other names to get into, and the top of my list for other names outside of Mark DeRosa, who does not have a background in manager and in any manager role, in fact, would be David Ross. I think David Ross, the former Cubs manager, the former leader of the Cubs 2016 team, I think David Ross would be, again, a very sexy hire for this team. Number one, managing the Chicago Cubs and the job that he did, just kind of manning that rebuild. That was certainly a rebuild. You trade away Anthony Rizzo. You have Chris Bryant walk out the door. You trade him away. You moved off of all the pieces of your core from that 2016 team. I think David Ross would be the perfect hire for this team. And I think David Ross would be a great fit if it's not Mark DeRosa, which is my personal pick for what I want to see. David Ross, number one, he has a losing record in baseball, but still, I don't care about the records at this point. The manager decisions by David Ross over the years, number one, he provided a little bit of energy for a clubhouse that needed it with the Cubs. You look back at his time with the Cubs, again, that was a young team that moved off all of its star pieces. Javi Baez, he was gone. Chris Bryant, gone. All their pitching staff gutted at that point. He was trying to manage a team that, quite frankly, was set up to lose 90-plus games each season. And what we saw in 2023 was honestly probably one of the most impressive feats for David Ross throughout his managerial career. Finishing 83-79 in 2023, he was ejected 5 times, which I actually really like to see from a manager. That's one way to really kickstart a team that David Ross did pretty well. And also being a former player. You'll find a lot of former players become great managers. Obviously, it's easy to connect with them. It's easy for them to coach them up. Players want to listen from them. And also, when you're a legend, the way that David Ross is, you're going to listen to him probably more often than not. And looking at someone like a Mark DeRosa even, or some other former players that have been named managers in the past. Like, it has worked out beautifully for them. So David Ross is a name that I think would be a tremendous fit for the Washington Nationals. And honestly, I think all the fits right now would be great for this team. The second guy I have in mind is Aaron Boone. Aaron Boone, for whatever reason, is hated by Yankees fans. Like, they hate Aaron Boone. But here's the thing. If you hook them up to a lie detector test and they're going to say, Aaron Boone sucks, he's terrible, he's this, he's that. Aaron Boone is a good manager. A really good one, in fact. And I look at some of the things that he has done. I don't know what he could do better. Yes, has he not made it to a World Series? Yeah. Or he's made it one time last year, and of course, he's still in it now with the Yankees. But if the Yankees do decide to move off him, sign me up for Aaron Boone. One thing that I love about Aaron Boone is that he has his players' backs. Davey Martinez, I love him. I love Davey. He is a legend here in town. But the beginning of the end, the true end, was when he called out the players this season. When he said, it's not the coach's fault, it's on the players. While he was kind of right, you don't say that part out loud. Aaron Boone has never thrown his players under the bus. He has defended them to the day that he dies, to the day that he is fired. He will defend them. He will defend them. He will defend them even more. I love that by Aaron Boone. Loyal, has built a culture of winning. 90-plus wins in basically every season as him as the manager. A couple of 100-win seasons in there. He had one down year in 2023 that was riddled with injuries. And then immediately last year, they get Juan Soto. They make it to the AL pennant and unfortunately lost to the Dodgers there in LA. But I love what Aaron Boone is as a manager. Number one, he gets the game. Number two, he is going to establish a winning culture, and he will have your players' backs. 46 ejections over the years. I love that from a manager. I love someone who is going to get in the ump's face, who is going to argue balls and strikes, and quite frankly, is going to set up a winning culture for this team. I think Aaron Boone would be the perfect match for the Washington Nationals if the Yankees do decide to move off him. There's another guy out there who may or may not be in the mix here. Bruce Bochy. Bruce Bochy, the obviously longtime Giants manager there, won 3 World Series with them, went to the Rangers, immediately won a World Series, the Texas Rangers as well. I mean, 4 World Series managerial. Like, this guy is a real Hall of Fame type manager, in my opinion. I mean, he is one of the best to do it. And again, he has been managing teams since the 1990s with the San Diego Padres, where he was with the Padres for 12 years and then went on to the San Francisco Giants for another 13 years and managed the Texas Rangers over the past 3 seasons. Now, here's the thing. He took on an advisor role. He is 70 years old. Does he really want to get back into managing a staff? Rather, geez. That's the big question at this point surrounding Bochy. But I will say this. I've actually gotten to meet Bruce Bochy at one point. Back in Mason District Little League, shout out to Falls Church. Bruce Bochy played in our Little League when he was a kid. Don't know how. It says he's from France. He went to high school in Florida, but somehow, some way, he played in the Little League that I played in when I was growing up. And we had the opportunity to meet Bruce Bochy. Thought he was the coolest guy ever. Coolest guy ever. So that's obviously number one. But number two, he brings a track record of success. That is kind of what the Nationals need at this point. And if you're going to go out there and hire that guy who is a player-friendly manager, who has won 4 World Series, who has been to 5 World Series, and again, won 4 of them, pretty good winning record, and has also been the manager of the year, Bruce Bochy would be the perfect hire again. There's a lot of perfect hires going on right now, but I think you see the point. The Nationals need a new culture. And with these 3 guys in mind, with David Ross, Aaron Boone, and Bruce Bochy. All those guys are going to bring a good winning culture with them. And number two, they are going to bring hopefully a great coaching staff as well that will definitely not be lost in the shuffle. The Nationals need a new coaching staff. We know that. Jim Hickey, no longer going to be here. Darnell Coles will no longer be here. We'll see about the possibility of Sean Doolittle. Maybe he jumps to another organization and becomes their pitching coach. But with what the Nationals need, they need a new coaching staff. And I think these guys would, number one, beat great managers. But number two, be and have a great coaching staff surrounding them and help these young guys win. There is one more name, though, that honestly, like, again, my pick would be Mark DeRosa. I explained why in the first segment. But this is probably going to be the guy if I had to bet. We'll see. But I'm going to tell you who that is after this. What do you get when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla riding a T-Rex? Confidence, pure confidence. And if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. That's exactly where Rugiet Go Long comes in. This is not just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. And Go Long combines 2 doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula so you can get hard and go the distance. The effects can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. The process is simple. Connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, and if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly right to your door. And if prescribed, your treatment is, again, discreetly shipped right to your door. So get ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom. Head to Rugiet.com. That is Rugiet.com, and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your first order. That's Rugiet.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB, and make sure to use our code so they know that we sent you. And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. So we mentioned a couple of names. I want Mark DeRosa as my next Nationals manager, but quite frankly, there's a lot of other names out there that could be very possible. David Ross, the former Cubs manager. Aaron Boone, if the Yankees decide to move off of him, if they lose against the Blue Jays. And also Bruce Bochy, 4-time World Series champion, 3 times with the Giants, 1 time with the Rangers. 70 years old, though. Does he still want to manage? Those are some real questions. But last but not least is Bob Melvin, the 63-year-old who has been with the Diamondbacks, who has been with the A's for all those years, the Padres for a few years, and most recently with the San Francisco Giants, who really crumbled down the stretch here as of recent. Bob Melvin would be a great hire. I don't think Bob Melvin is going to be your long-term, he's going to be here till he retires. I think this is kind of a stopgap option. Someone who has been there and done that with small market teams like the A's and the Diamondbacks. And he has had a lot of success throughout his career. Recently, really most recently with the Oakland A's, which I thought was some of my favorite teams over the years with him. He was with the Oakland A's back in 2011 when he took over in the middle of the season. He was then hired as the full-time manager with the A's, in which he won 94 games in 2012 and 96 in 2013, and then manned a little bit of a rebuild with Oakland, and then won 97 games in 2018 and in 2019 combined. This is someone who brings a steady presence to a clubhouse. That, again, it's not going to be the sexy, completely new culture change in Washington. It's not going to be the guy who's going to be hands-on in every little thing that he does. Obviously, he is a great manager, and obviously, he is a great coach overall. But what he brings is a steady consistency. And again, the patience that the Nationals need. You need someone who will be patient with this ball club. And you might look at the Giants and say, well, this was one of the better teams in the first half that completely fell apart in the second half. Made a little bit of a push there in September, but ultimately the train fell off the tracks. you might think to yourself, I've got no interest in that. But this guy brings experience. He is well liked across baseball. This would be a very good hire for the Nationals, in my opinion. And again, you cannot go wrong with someone who has been at multiple stops and has had success at multiple stops as well. Again, I think of the Padres when they were winning 90 games a year, when they had Juan Soto in 2022 and in 2023. Those games, obviously, those teams weren't wildly successful at times in the postseason, but still, they had a fighter's chance. And in my mind, I think AJ Preller kind of deserves the blame for some of those Padres teams, in my humbled opinion. But with where Melvin brings, he brings that steady consistency of someone who is kind of similar to Davey Martinez. Players love him. They love to play for him. He's going to have their backs. But I think he brings a new, fresh message. And that is a very important factor when you're hiring a new manager, and also someone who brings experience. So Bob Melvin, if I were to bet today, I haven't seen any betting lines on this, I would say Bob Melvin's like a plus 200 favorite to be your next Nats manager. Toboni's going to have a lot of decisions to make. But in my mind, the manager position is going to be a huge one for him to make. And for where the Nationals are today, you got to hit a home run with this. Even if it's just for a few seasons, someone to help you keep you treading above water there. That's kind of what the Nationals could be looking for. And that's why I look at Bob Melvin as someone who maybe could be that guy for the Washington Nationals. So just to kind of put a bow on this conversation, Mark DeRosa would be my hire. If you missed it, go back. I talked about it for 10 minutes. Then you got Aaron Boone. If the Yankees decide to move off Aaron Boone, I would love Aaron Boone here in town. I look at guys like David Ross, the former Cubs manager, 2016 hero with the Cubs. I also think about Bruce Bochy, who's got some ties here. But last but not least is Bob Melvin, someone who brings that consistency to a Nationals clubhouse that, quite frankly, you can make the case is probably needed for this team. So let me know what you think. Who would be your hire? And of course, stay tuned. We'll talk about some more Nationals baseball tomorrow, as we are your team every single day. So I will catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good one. Go Nats.